Hello, and welcome to an overview of scripting in Second Life. My name is Preston Straff, and I will be your guide into the awesome world of LSL. LSL is Linden Lab's scripting language, which allows users to create scripts to interact with the objects they create in Second Life. LSL is very similar in structure to other programming languages, like C and Java. It operates around a couple of simple basic ideas called states and events. In this tutorial, you will learn the basis of LSL, specifically what you can do with scripts in LSL, how events work, and how states work. Many people are quite intimidated by LSL. However, I hope that after I explain it to you, it will become quite easy to understand, and I hope that you will get out there and do some scripting in Second Life. First, let's take a look at what scripts can do. In their most simple form, scripts allow for interactivity and communication between objects and avatars. LSL allows objects to go about this in several different ways. First, LSL allows objects to respond when touched by an avatar. If I touch this nice yellow orb here, the LSL inside of the object will tell the sphere that I am touching it and then communicate back to me. LSL also allows objects to respond to input from a menu. Menus are very common in scripting objects. They provide a simple GUI for avatars to interact with objects, and they very nicely control what data will be sent to the object. To illustrate this, I am again using the yellow orb, and I have added a menu to it to allow any avatar to touch the object, which will pop up a menu and then allow the avatar to tell my object to move up, left, down, and right. You can see that my object is very responsive to my menu commands and can now understand why this is such a popular choice for interacting with objects. Finally, LSL allows objects to respond to basic text input. Here I have a yellow orb that is scripted to respond to commands sent by the avatar using the chat tool. So any avatar can come up to my object and send commands to it, allowing the avatar to move my object up, down, left, and right. As you can see, my object is again quite responsive to my chat commands and moves just as smoothly and quickly as when I had used the menu. The catch with using the chat tool to send commands to objects is that you must be within chatting range with the object. So if I move my avatar out of chatting range and try to send the commands, the object will not receive them because it is not within chatting range. Now that we know what LSL can do, we need to know how it works. The two underlying ideas behind how LSL works are states and events. All scripts use states for control flow. A simple way to understand states is as simple as understanding on and off. A script can be in different states, much like a light switch can be in an on state or in an off state. Scripts have at minimum one state, the default state. The default state is the state that is automatically loaded when an object is rezzed. So, if I drag an object from my inventory, any code that is in the default state will be executed. As you can see with this object, the default state has a block of code in it to have the object send the avatar who rezzes it a nice greeting. Now let's learn a little bit about events. Events are actions that are triggered when other certain actions are performed. LSL is a highly event-driven language, and all objects depend upon these events to perform. I bet you are wondering how my little yellow orb knew that it was being touched. Well, that's quite simple. Using events, of course. One of the most basic events is the touch start event, which is triggered when the object is touched. So each time I touch my object, the touch start event is called, and any code in that block is executed. It is important to remember that each state can have the same events in it, but each event can perform a different action. To further understand how states and events work, let's take a look at this yellow orb right here. I have added LSL to it, giving it two states. The first state is the default state, which I am using as the off state. In the off state, a message appears above the object, informing avatars that the object is currently off. The second state is the on state, which is triggered by the touch start event in the off state. So when I touch my object, the touch start event is executed, sending the object into the on state and displaying some cool particle effects, and changing the message on top of the object, informing the avatar that the object is now in the on state. To switch the object back to the off state, we can simply click the object again. The possibilities of scripting objects using LSL are endless and are limited only by the creativity of the user, much like the rest of Second Life. I hope you enjoyed this overview of LSL, and I hope that it isn't as frightening as you first may have thought. So now it's time to get out of here and do some scripting. Preston Straff, out.